Good evening, viewers. You're welcome back from your busy schedule of the day. And this is a good program which we always present to you, especially to teach and inform. That is what we all do as Smart Television, to make sure that we are able to impact, inspire, and cause a transformation on attitude that can lead to the economic growth of our country. And we tackle matters of economic empowerment. We deal with how we can steer up businesses. And this evening, we are blessed to come to you with another point, the point. And it is dealing with the topic of discussion, solving the youth unemployment problem. And we ask ourselves a question, will skilling and enterprising be the answer for economic empowerment in this country, Uganda, or maybe in other developing countries? Together with us, we have guests. You're welcome. And on the other side, we begin with Mr. Alex Muwezi. He is a banker and very much professional in matters of giving direction, giving guidance in business. You're welcome, sir. And also, I don't shy away to say he's a former member of parliament aspirant for Kabale municipality. You're welcome, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, our host this evening, Dr. Joseph Tindebwa. Good evening to our viewers. Good evening to those that are watching us online, to those that are seeing us online. Like Dr. Joseph said, my name is Alex Muwezi. I'm happy to be part of this show, and I wish all of us a wonderful show.
Thank you so much. And also, the next guest, he is Albano Lukundo. Albano Lukundo is a former youth aspirant of Western Uganda. Yeah, he wanted to represent Western Uganda, and he has a strong network with the students, you know, progressive studies, especially dealing with marketing of one of some good programs in one of the university. Will introduce himself. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tindebwa, for hosting us tonight. A good evening to you, dear viewers, and everyone following us online. And of course, we are really grateful for you, Dr. Tindebwa, for having hosted us in this program. I'm Plide Albano Lukundo. I'm actually the former Western East MP aspirant. Some people say I was defeated, but of course, as you know, like in politics, you can't be defeated. Of course, you learn much, and yeah. So I'm really grateful for hosting me. Yeah.
Thank you for being an active youth of this generation, and Ugandans and those who are following this discussion, they are encouraged of your aspiration. Please continue to aspire and never allow it to expire.
Okay, thank you.
We also would like to welcome our other good dear guest, Mrs. Chomohendo Dorothy. He is the managing director. She is the managing director of the company which is Asset Profiling Management Company. You're welcome in this talk show, madam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tindebwa. Good evening, viewers, all of you who are watching us live and online. I'm happy to be here today. We are tackling a very, very important aspect of any economy, which is youth unemployment. I am very passionate about this, and we hope whatever we're going to discuss today is going to benefit all the youth out there. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, dear guests, we are very much privileged and interested at the same time to handle this topic of discussion, because Smart Television is a problem solver. We do make a contribution to what our country goes through, and in one way or the other, come up with possible ways how we can come up with the experts that have been invited in this program to share with us experience, to share with us knowledge, and to inspire you outside there. We are dealing with the topic of youth unemployment, which is one of a major problem in this country. And we are again aware in my preamble that the youth population, especially referring to the unemployed youth in Uganda, stands at a level between 64 to 70. The latest policy brief I have. And we used to refer in the previous records, it was 70, about 79. And maybe there's something that has been done, and we will appreciate if at all it's there. So it is a problem. And we will not first invite the West, maybe what we used to call as the colonialists. They are no longer there, but they are still existing somewhere. We will no longer call foreign countries to solve this problem. We can collaborate, but we must be ready to face the challenge and be able to address it, especially with the collaborative efforts. And together with us in this talk show, we have an expert in business consult, especially supporting both small-scale businesses and large-scale businesses, those which are to mushroom. She will have a lot to share with us in that line. And again, having Mr. Alex Muhwezi, who is a banker, having worked with the bank and for some time, the experience he holds, again, it links us with a lot. How can we solve the youth unemployment? Because when we talk about unemployment, this is dealing with money. They want money. You know, employment, they want money before we talk about experience. So you will maybe give us a connection to how the youth, you can be able to teach them how to make money. Basically, that is part of our discussion. And also, it is important to appreciate that the Uganda total population increased from 9.5 million in 1969 to 27 by this demographic, the demographic characteristics, which the Human Development Report of 2007-2008, and now we're aware it's around 45. The statistics have changed, and from time to time the population is increasing. And our research refers to the current demographic statistics that our population, which is about 79%, it comprises of the youth. We'll go into these other details as we go on the way. And yet, every year, we know that the labor market is expecting to receive 600, 700 unemployed youth who are looking for jobs. The government policy basically aligning to the NRM government, they promise that they will create jobs. That's one of the agenda of the chairman, who is the president, that he is standing for job creation. But we continue to assess and analyze whether jobs are being created. It is again important to recall that at first, the civil service sector was the largest employer of the labor force in Uganda. And as the population increased, it's no longer where we should align our hope to solve the youth unemployment. The latest experts, the expert report, the World Bank, they encourage, and even the government, they encourage the skilling of the youth. The policy of the government concerning the youth, concerning the population, especially in dealing with unemployment, it is again referring to what they used to call BVET, business, and it talks about, vocational studies, education, and training. The new curriculum of education has been also aligned to do the same. So having said that, we are here to discuss this and see how our youth can be economically empowered, and possibly whether the skilling will be the solution or the end of the challenge of an employment problem. Mr. Alex, you're welcome in this discussion to take us through. You have 5 minutes, we'll share 5 minutes, and then we'll continue the discussion.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Joseph, for that preamble. It's no longer a secret anymore that we have a youth challenge. This youth challenge, in my view, should be viewed as a youth dividend. Because this youth group of people is a market that we are talking about. It's a pool of employable skills. So it's both a challenge and a dividend depending on how one wants to look at it. Uganda is a youthful country. I think it's one of the 3rd youthful countries in the world, after Niger and another country in Eastern Asia. So we are a very youthful country. On average, we grow our population by about 3.3% every year. That's a very big statistic. So there's work to do with ensuring that these young people that are being born, that are being churned out of our universities, our technical institutions, that are being churned out of the different production centers of skilled people, it's important that there's an environment for these young people to deploy their skills. I also want to state here that it's a lie, or it's a gimmick that sometimes the politicians use to market their agenda, that they are going to create jobs. Government cannot create jobs. What government does is to create an enabling environment for people to put their skills, for people to put their talents to use. So in my view, over the last 30 or 40 years, a reasonable environment for people to put their skills and talents to use has been created. We have reasonable security as a country. There's progress that has been registered on infrastructure development. The country has been opened. The country has been opened that you can move from here to there in search of opportunities. We have a number of universities, a number of technical institutions that have been put in place. And the purpose of all of these interventions is to help people explore, to help people discover their talents, to help people discover what they can be able to do. Now, while all these are going on and happening, we have also got a challenge that the young people think and believe that someone is responsible for their success. No one is responsible.
Or even for their failure.
Whichever way you want to look at it.
Okay.
Yes, that someone is responsible for, someone somewhere is responsible for my success or my failure. That's not true. You are responsible for your success or failure. The other stakeholders, government, NGOs, education institutions, they are going to put facilities in place, but you have a role to play. And I think for me, in this discussion today, I want to focus on the role that our young people have to play in all of this. Because the policies are in place. The different parameters have been put in place to support the young people. We need to tackle the issue of mindset change. Some of us have had the opportunities to employ or interview some of our young people for employment. You give them jobs, and then you see the attitude is, how fast can I get money? How fast can I manipulate the system and get money? You forget that there's work involved in attaining what, for example, Dr. Joseph Tindebo has attained. He has been working for the last 15 or 20 years. For you want to get it in 5 months or 1 year. So there's an issue to do with the mindset. We have issues of people despising jobs. I have my bachelor's degree in social sciences. I cannot go to become a farm manager. When you could actually earn a living from being a farm manager. So there's a lot of work to do with the mindset change. Of course, we also need to ask ourselves, the education we have, is it appropriate? Fortunately, I studied, in some of my studies, I studied marketing. You may have a product, but is it appropriate for the market? So there's a mismatch.
So, Mr. Alex, I have a question for you for the benefit of viewers.
Yes.
And we are interested to benefit from you, the knowledge from the banking sector.
Yeah.
Most of our youth, whether political programs or no political programs, they believe that give them cash and they go to do business, capital investment. And maybe in that theory, you can enlighten us exactly, because we have referred to our topic of discussion, will skilling and enterprising be the answer? And in this case, for them, I have interacted with them, I have taught them, they say, you are telling us all these good stories. Give us money, we go to do business. What is your take and what is your advice?
Thank you so much, Doctor, for that question. On a daily basis, we interact with the different categories of people and customers. From a credit understanding, someone will approach you and they are seeking for a loan. You ask yourself, you want a loan, what are you going to do? Do you understand what you're going to do? So the issue is not cash. What are you going to do first? Do you understand what you're going to do? Because the moment you have access to cash, if I gave you 2 million today, and you don't know exactly what you're going to do, by the time you leave town, it is less by 50,000.
But before we go to that, is it even easy to get that money? I'm talking of a youth who has just left the university and he comes to your bank and is seeking guidance. And he's saying, I need money and I have this plan what to do. And remember, in your topic of discussion, enlightenment, you enlightened the viewers that there is an enabling environment for the youth to develop. But I've brought here a question for just briefly in 2 or 3 minutes. There is a mismatch with what we are referring as an enabling environment, apart from security, which I've appreciated the submission, and to a real point. Someone has finished university and someone has not even gone to school. We are dealing with all youth and they want to access capital for investment. What exactly is in the middle there? Because it looks to be there is a mismatch.
That's very true. In developed economies, for example, I would want to pull examples from India. In developed economies. You see, the gap between when I finish school and settle either in employment or doing business, that transition is very important. Why is it very important? The way it is managed. In our case, in developed economies, that gap is usually filled with what we call internship or apprenticeship. So once you have an opportunity to do internship, the purpose of internship is to acquire some level of experience and understanding of what you're going to do. 2, access to capital in our economy is still a challenge. Reason being that we actually don't have capital as an economy. The capital we have is largely borrowed from overseas and different stakeholders. Now, this capital that we have as a country is largely commercial. It's not going to support an investor. If we were operating very well and we are interested in investing in gray areas, we would have venture capital.
Thank you. You have mentioned the challenge of capital and we have taken note, and the viewers, please, we are going to bring maybe the solution at the end. Madam, before I receive the youth, Mr. Rukundo, who also has a passion for the youth, I would like to welcome you because you have a lot in common with the other bankers, especially in enterprising. You're welcome. You may give us your point of view in our discussion. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much, my co-panelists, for what you have said. I largely want to agree with you. We have a very big challenge and a very big problem with youth unemployment in this country. Now, there is a misconception that is going around that youth do not have skills, they do not know how to handle money. And yes, to an extent, we can say it could be true. However, as somebody who has dealt with a lot of startups, youth in this country have ideas. They have ideas. And it's so painful to actually watch somebody having an idea but cannot access the capital that they need. Now, the key linkage that that we are trying to really push forward is business development services. The ideas are there. You're not going to educate more because you're wasting a lot of resources. These people have education. We have actually one of the most educated youth group that you can think about. Education, everyone is going to school right now. So education is not a problem. Skills, yes, very important. However, the issue is, what are you scaling? What are you scaling? And the key link here should be business development services. People have skills, they have education, they don't need any more skills and any more education. They want that linkage to finance, they want that linkage to markets, they want that linkage to get their businesses off the ground. And as the panelists here, we should really be thinking, how are we going to get youth? We should be brainstorming on how can we get youth to actually access finance, to actually access market, to build structures within their businesses. You had mentioned that somebody will come to you, you'll give him 2 million, and by the time he reaches Kampala Road, it is short by 50,000. If he has financial literacy, he will not spend that 50,000 because he will have planned it. He knows that he's asking for 2 million, 50,000 is going to go into the transport, but 1,950,000 is going to go, and it is budgeted for. Okay? So we need to really open up this linkage of business development services. People need to have financial literacy. People need to have incubation centers.
Madam Chomendo, who should do this? Yes, Chomanji, yes, rather, thank you. Who should do this?
And now that is where I come to agree with him. Government is not going to create jobs. People are the ones who are going to create jobs. We have a population of 45 million people. That is where jobs are going to come from. One person will employ 5. If 10 million people employ 5 people, tell me that you're going to have a problem with youth unemployment in this country. We should, yes, it is very important to think about the big picture. We want to create all these industries and they'll create all these jobs, but that will be 5, 10 industries. However, if you empower people who are already in business, people who are struggling in businesses, they will be able to make that ripple effect to give us more employed youth in this country.
I'm following the discussion very well. Your submission is empowering those who are struggling in business. There is also, of course, to consider those who are stuck. They don't have what to do, and they need to be taught. You've talked about the incubation centers.
Incubation centers.
Yes, incubation centers, and the government approach, because in all this, the hand of the government must come in, because we cannot talk about all this and we fail to talk about what's part of the government law or linkage into this development. And for the side of the government, to the best of my knowledge, and also to your knowledge, they refer to a number of initiatives. I saw one which was, since, by the way, as far as 1993, they began talking about giving loans to the youth. 1993. I read this policy paper and it was quite interesting. And from there, they were talking about the youth loan. It was the YES program. Did you know that? The YES program, the Youth Economic Empowerment Scheme loan. And later, we have had the Youth Livelihood Program. We have had now the parish model, and it is talking about the youth. Then we've also had, of course, with an encouragement, youth, in order to access money, vis-a-vis what you will find as incubation centers, they should be able to register into circles. Then they go into the other small-scale businesses. Whereas all these programs have been in existence, why is it that the problem of the youth unemployment is not really being solved?
Thank you for that, Doctor, and it's a very, very pertinent issue that you have raised. Government has really tried its best to put resources that are going to benefit the youth, benefit generally, omuntu wa wansi, as people would call it. But ask yourself, what is happening with these resources? Are they actually reaching the intended beneficiaries? That is the biggest question to ask. Are these resources being put to the use that they are actually meant for? That is a whole discussion for another day. We would probably need another show to tackle that matter.
You have some information?
Just to bring some aspect. You see,
1 minute, then we'll receive him so that he also gives us his point of view.
No, I just wanted to say that question you are asking, what Dorothy does addresses that gap.
What Dorothy does, yes.
You live here and go to Tambara. We are giving this youth group money to start a bigger project. You have not prepared them. You assume that they know this project. They have grown up looking at goats so they can do goats. That's a very wrong assumption. So government comes up with very good initiatives, but you don't prepare the population. We're now talking about 100 million going to the parish. What preparation is going there? The 100 million will come and people will split it, eat it, and life continues.
Okay, please, you give us your point of view. You also have 5 minutes, and she will also again come in because she still had a presentation. What's your point of view? What has gone wrong with the youth?
Thank you so much, Doctor, and thank you so much for the presentation. Me personally, we have talked about the skilling, and what comes into my mind, who are going to skill these youth, who are going to skill the youth, and how are they going to be skilled? So, we are talking about the challenges of the youth, that is unemployment, and we are in Uganda. When you mention about Uganda, when you're outside the country and you mention about Uganda, there is that perspective that people get. First of all, Uganda is the country that has the highest youth unemployment rates in Sub-Sahara. So, we are in the country whereby actually we have the challenge of the socio-economic segregation in the country.
Socio-economic segregation.
Socio-economic segregation in the country. First of all, this class of system, we find we have the first class. And how do I determine the first class? First class here, we look at, I can talk of the first family, I can talk of the military. That is just 1% of the population of Uganda. Those are the people that can be employed in Uganda. Then we have the second class of Ugandans. And the second class here, we can talk of doctors, we can talk of course, teachers, we can talk of lawyers, we can talk of those people who are having jobs, but actually you find someone is earning 400,000 per month, someone is staying in Muyenga, you're earning 400,000 per month, you are staying in Muyenga, and you are renting a room of 100,000 per month. Can you imagine?
As a youth.
As a youth. Because we are talking about this, the youth who want to be well. Someone who wants to eat chicken every day. And actually, when we talk about skilling, even if you skill someone who is not self-motivated on what to do and actually how to use the money, because we have that challenge also. Let me first finish up. We have another class, that is the third class. And the third class, that is actually 90% of the population. And who are the
90%.
third class? Yeah, 90%. This third class, this comprises of unemployed youth and the poor Ugandans. Unemployed youth. Because as we can say, we have 78% of our population are actually the youth. 78%. And we have seen 90% of the population belong to the third class. So the country has been running in this way, whereby the youth have no money, but the youth want to eat well. They want to be okay. Someone can tell you that after working for maybe like 1 year, he wants to drive. Even if you have skilled that person, but you have not given that person the knowledge on what to do and actually how to use that money. That person will no longer be rich, and I can say he will no longer develop.
So you are talking about a matter of saving and then investment.
Saving and investment. The challenge that we have with our youth today in Uganda is they want to overspend the money. Someone tells you every weekend, I want to go for clubbing. Wants to go to, of course, I can talk of, wants to go to big hotels, you know.
Also betting.
Yeah, wants to go for betting. So even if you are receiving, even if you are getting a salary scale of actually 1 M per month, but you want to overspend, you don't have the program, you don't know anything about saving and investing that money. You know, someone can be actually earning 100,000. That person can start up a business of chapati. Another person can be earning 1 million and maybe he's a doctor. 1 million, but he's a youth. That person can start up actually any kind of business. You can start up a hotel. Someone can start up any kind of business. But you will find that one who has started a business of chapati is going to be actually earning like 20,000 a day.
The one of chapati.
The one of chapati. And he's going to be paying the rent of actually like 2,000 a day because they just have to measure the space where you're using.
Your estimates about the one of a million?
So the one of the million is going to be actually having a business of a hotel whereby it's going to be paying a rent of actually 200,000 per month.
If he invests well.
If he invests well. And one thing is going to be having how many workers in a hotel? This is the person who's going to be having like 10 workers. The waiters and the cashiers and the whatever in the hotel. But the other person who starts up actually a business of chapati is going to work even is going to be self-employed. He can do that business. But the youth in Uganda nowadays, actually someone has finished the university. You cannot tell that person that, you know, you can start up a business of chapati. He will not understand you. Someone has a degree, someone has a postgraduate, someone has masters, but you know, someone cannot think of starting.
So your advice to them is that they should stop despising any job and any small scale business.
That is it. Because the challenge they have, someone wants, if I have actually done engineering, someone wants to be an engineer. You know, you don't have the working experience. You have just finished the university. You want to be an engineer, and actually, who is going to entrust you with actually his actual building?
We'll take it up from there. I would like to welcome again Madam Chomhanji Dorothy to add on some insights in relation to which Mr. Albano has really enlightened us in some areas that are critical. The street class, the socio-economic segregation, discrimination, and how we can even bridge the class difference, because there is a serious matter at hand, both in the urban and in the rural areas, where even we began to create some groups, some called the ghetto, others called what. Please, you'll come again in 3 minutes as we go for break.
Okay. I just want to touch first of all on what he has said. Lifestyle. Yeah. Youth, yes, have a bit of a challenge, and you have to understand this demographic of the youth. They are a very, very resourceful demographic, but they are also a bit problematic by virtue, I think, of the age, and you know, there is a certain way that they see things and that they want things. So you are very right about that. Yes, they want to live a good life, which is understandable. There is no one who doesn't want to live a good life. But let me come to the issue that you raised, that about engineers. Now, jobs are not available. That is what you have to understand, and that is what we all have to understand. We have over 500,000 youths coming into the market annually, and jobs are very, very few. You would find out that almost the entire 500,000 do not have access to a job. Our key issue is, what will these 500,000 that are coming into the market every year do? What is it that they are going to do? And our focus is really on entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the key, and it's the driver that is going to change the youth unemployment in this country. So if we focus on entrepreneurship as a country, if we can focus on entrepreneurship and support it.
Do you have some kind of words for skilling? Do you think we can generate a population here which is very well equipped with skills and thereby solving an employment problem?
I really believe in skilling, But the question is, what are you skilling? Doctor, what are you skilling? Because even those who are skilled, they are in the market, and some of them are struggling.
Skills.
They have the skills. Are you trying to tell me that all the mechanics in this country are doing well? All the saloon people in this country are doing well? Don't they have the skills? Yes. So we have to tackle the problem, and we cannot keep on tackling issues and saying, okay, education is the problem, educate. No, we have educated people, we have skilled people. The issue is, what are we doing to make sure that these people succeed? And that is where our focus should be today.
Okay. Thank you so much. We are going for a short break, and we'll come back. I'll be having very sensitive and serious questions, but again with the critical reviews of what has happened before. One may say, whereas you're saying that there are no jobs, and one will say jobs are there. And my colleague was saying jobs are to those who are disadvantaged. And again, my colleague, Mr. Alex, will say attitude. And then another one will say, no, attitude is not wrong. We are there, we are ready to work, but we don't have capital. So we must come to a point in the next session how we can come out of this. Because it is controversial, we have to admit. Thank you for staying with us. Smart 24 TV, the best TV that you can, gather all your friends and the youth specifically tonight, that we can be able to discuss together. Tomorrow you should be able to get a job. We will also be tackling the issue of innovation. Is important. Thank you for staying with us.